Hey guys, EBPMAN here. Now in today's video, we're going to be reviewing a brand new product from Snapmaker. We're going to be taking a look at the Snapmaker Air Purifier that's specifically designed for the Snapmaker 2.0. Now for those of you who may be new to the Snapmaker 2.0 is a 3D printer that is also a CNC machine, which means it can carve wood and other materials, and it's also a laser engraver. Now in my case, we have our printer in our basement close to a window, and for my usage, the laser generates the most pollutants that I'm really concerned about. Now this new feature is supposed to address all these features. Now, as we take a look at this filter is a custom-made, tailor-made filter that's designed specifically for the Snapmaker 2.0. It's tailor-made, and the cartridge has multiple layers of filtration that we're going to see in a second. It basically has a high filtration rate efficiency of 95.9. That's pretty high, and it's using this rating of PM 0.3. Now, you also then have a real-time monitoring of the filter, right? So you're going to know if the system is working. But not only is it going to tell you if it's been working or not, but it's also going to tell you about the lifespan of the filter. Now, you do have fan speed control. You have a colored status light that's going to tell you what's going on with your filter. You also then have a full metal design. This is what I'm saying, that this thing is built like a tank. High quality metal material, and it really fits the overall aesthetic of the Snapmaker. Now when we start thinking about this filter is packed with features and layers. So make sure you research each one of these to fully understand if this is going to be suitable for your need. So as we take a look at the very first one, you're looking at G4 filter that is really designed for coarse filtration material. So think about things like dust, right? So that's going to handle that. The next one you have is the F9 filtration layer. And again, think about these as almost like a sandwich, right? All these different layers. The F9 filter layer is for finer and smaller material. Then what you have is a carbon filter. Now, I have a carbon filter in mine now, and what that really deals with is odor. So it's going to eliminate any kind of smell. And on the Snapmaker, as soon as I do kind of like any kind of laser engraving, which we do a lot of, you basically start smelling it, but with the carbon filter, that eliminates that. Now, the other thing that you have, the other layer, is a ultra-dense HEPA filter. It's an H13 filter. So all of these layers are going to protect, again, your home. It's going to remove those impurities, and they allege it's going to just push out of the system clean air. Now the filter also has a decent lifespan, and I have to say that even though I've been using it for a month now, I don't have my Snapmaker running 24/7. I don't have it running every single day. So they say that you can expect the filter to last around 3 months depending on your usage. So as you're considering this, depending on how active you're using the actual unit, that's something that you have to consider. The other thing that is still unknown, and I've been trying different technology to really understand how clean the air is in my work area. Because let's face it, the actual Snapmaker enclosure that this gets connected to is not sealed. It's not sealed in any way. So, you know, while I do have a fan that extracts it, and you're going to see it if you haven't seen that the actual, I would say, cage or the enclosure for Snapmaker, it is not, you know, it doesn't have gaskets everywhere that's keeping everything really enclosed and bottled up. So there's always going to be something that comes up. So is this going to give you kind of like a clinical grade type filtration where you're not going to smell absolutely anything? I wouldn't go that far. But it does do a fantastic job, in my opinion. Just using it, I don't notice any of the smells that come with laser engraving. So, and then also the 3D printing, I don't really have some really, I would say, intense materials that I print on it. So those are the things that I would highlight about it. So it's really important that as you look at this as an investment for your home, that you actually consider all of these filtration options, and then you take a look at what is the air quality. Now in my basement, I do have an air quality meter, and it basically defines or tells me how the air quality is. I have not seen it shift when using the Snapmaker. Now, I at times don't have it connected where it is shooting out any kind of what's inside of my Snapmaker to the outdoors because of how I have things rigged. And my testing has been without really having it go outside. So that's just going to kind of give you a sense of how I've been testing it. So let's take a closer look at the entire system, how it works, what's in the box, and what you can expect. All right, so let's take a look at everything that's included when you get the Snapmaker purification filter. So this is the filter, and as I was saying, this thing is solid. You can see how this is constructed. This is metal. We're going to take a look at it closer in a second. You get two of these brackets that are going to allow you to connect this extractor, right? This is going to connect from one will connect from your Snapmaker coming into the system, and this is what you would connect that would go to the outdoors because it has two, one input and one output, right? Or an intake and an exhaust. Since this does get connected to your Snapmaker, you notice that you do have the traditional cables that you have with your Snapmaker. They're proprietary. You have your power cord, and then you have the power brick, which is pretty large. Let's take a closer look at the purification unit now. Now, while the unit itself is made out of an aluminum material, what you have is the intake and the exhaust are not. These connecting points where you'll put the actual hose themselves is made out of plastic. You do have here where you would connect the proprietary Snapmaker cable that goes into your control unit. You have your power, and then you have your flip switch here. Now, installing and removing your filter is pretty straightforward. You have this door here, which is magnetic, and it opens up really nicely, right? And then you have the actual filter, which will pop out now. This cover comes off. You put it aside, and then the filter just slides out just like this. It comes out to the side, and we'll put it here on the side, right? For those of you who want to see what the inside looks like, we'll go ahead and tilt this towards the camera so you can see it. This is what it looks like. Not much to it, right? And then we'll put this back. And really, it's all about the filter. And we talked about how many layers the filter has. So let's take a closer look at the filter. Now, as we discussed, as we were going through the specs, the filter has an approximate use life of 3 months, depending on how often you're using your Snapmaker. And what you can see here is kind of an illustration of all the different filtration layers, right? So basically what you have is a pre-filter, right? Then you have an activated carbon filter. Then you have that HEPA filter. And then basically you have clean air coming out. Now, as I mentioned in my home, when we're running this, I haven't really noticed, and I do have an air quality device that is measuring the air quality of the home. I haven't seen any different, even allowing this to expel in the home. However, I would not advise that. I would still connect it to the outdoor. But you can see how the illustration here would work. So a couple things I wanted to highlight before you purchase the actual Snapmaker Purifier. One thing that is, if you do have an emergency stop button, you will need the hub. You cannot use the emergency stop and your purifier at the same time. They actually get connected into the same spot. Second, when you do connect everything, make sure that your Snapmaker is off as you fish everything, and you're going to see how I have everything connected in a second. Once you've done that, and you have the most current firmware, you'll see the air purifier here on screen, and then you'll be able to enable it, and you notice you go from low, medium, and high. The actual purifier is loud. Let me just turn it on, and you actually hear it wind up. It's loud. Louder, but that's also high or medium, and that's your highest setting. We'll get closer in a second so you can see the differences, but just wanted to highlight the fact that keep it powered off when you connect it. Make sure that you have the latest firmware, and then also that if you have the actual Snapmaker stop button, because you have that rotary cutting tool, you'll need to make sure that you have the hub. All right, so now what I'm going to do is just to give you a sense of the actual power coming from the actual system. I'm going to stay closer to it, and my lapel mic should pick up a lot of the noise. But this is the output, right? So it goes from the fan, your enclosure, into the actual purifier, and then this area you would basically connect going out your window, just so that you're not expelling any toxins to the air, right? So this is how it's set up. I'm going to go ahead and turn it on. Right. I'm going to put it on the low setting first so you can hear that, and I'll get close to it. Go to the medium. And those are the 3 speeds. It's a pretty straightforward solution. Now, what I have also on mine is previously I had a carbon filter system here that you see a lot of folks have that are using the Snapmakers. Now switching to this is smaller, it's much simpler, but I do find that while you can put something on here to expel the actual purified air outdoors, it's still a little bit loud. Now, for those of you who are curious about the connection, the cable that I was referring to basically goes to that one in the right corner, and that's where you would have your emergency stop. And so I've disconnected mine for now. So guys, that wraps up our review of the Snapmaker Air Purifier. In my opinion, it does a great job. Would I have this, let's say, outputting into my home? I probably would go one step further and have it connected going to the outdoor. And while you're thinking about this, and you may say, is this really worth it? Think about any kind of manufacturing company that is building things, which you are in your home. When you think about using the Snapmaker and you're either laser engraving or you're creating things with a 3D printer or CNC, you're building things. All of these commercial I would say platforms that create things have filters, and what most of these companies do, and I won't say most, but all, what they do is they actually have filtration that as they expel what's inside of their plants and it goes out to the environment, they make sure that it is coming out clean, right? So if you're someone who's really interested in really having a green thumb and thinking about the environment and the future that of this planet, I would actually say that this would be a worthy investment, even if you have to connect this to the outdoor, because anything that comes out of this, especially doing the laser engraving or any of these other things, is bad for the environment. So having this is how you can contribute to a greener and safer world. That's just my opinion. See you in the next video.